Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Pod. I'm Andy Rowe, Big Jim and Goody are with me as usual. We've got plenty to talk about with all the latest Premiership action coming up, as well as the Lions chat for you on the show this week after the confirmation of Warren Gatland's assistant coaches and his comments on selection and the English-based players. Plus, we're joined by a man who's hoping to face the British and Irish Lions this summer. Springbok Eben Etzebeth joins us to talk weights, the World Cup win, scrapping with Big Jim, and of course the Lions tour. How's your week been, lads?
Same as the last.
Go on, Jim.
52, 50. Yeah, down.
You look down
week.
this way. You look down.
Yeah, down day. Just, I don't know. Sun's out. Pub doors are still closed.
No, they ain't, son. No, they ain't.
They are in Scotland, pal. Until next week, I think. I'm not keeping up to date with it all, but yeah. Quiet weekend. Went on a bit of a Twitter rant. Not too bad. I nearly went back. Nearly went down the divisive route of messaging people back when I put a tweet out there saying something about not being able to have a funeral properly with the wake and all that, but you can protest. And then, Andrew, you know what it's like, mate. The minute you throw something that's remotely political, it comes back and it bites you. And I just sat back and just watched it unfold. But yeah, just a down weekend. It's not all glory in the Hamilton household, believe it or not. It's just not. Watched the funeral, which was very sad and in parts very inspiring. It was just, I don't know, it was quite emotional watching it actually. So that mixed in with a bit of ruggers, Andrew. But looking at your Instagram, yours was slightly more upbeat than mine. It looked very Guinness and black and very pubby and openy and lovely.
Yeah, mate. We've had a really good week actually. The gyms have opened again, and Jim absolutely buried me.
Well, hang on.
To the gyms.
I love this. Listen to you. Oh, it's been a great. Gyms open, number one thing on the list.
Really, Mr. Jim.
Well, it's literally last week everything opened, didn't it? So, as we said, gyms open. So I went to the gym, knowing full well that pubs are also open. So to go and sit in a beer garden when the sun's out and have a few Guinness and blackcurrants, and the amount of abuse I get for that. But a lot of people are privately messaging me saying, mate, I'm with you. I can't say this out in the open, but I'm with you. Guinness and blackcurrant is absolutely delicious. Quite a few Irish people saying it, but only privately, not to the masses out there. So you've got to go and earn your beer, Jim, haven't you? So I went to the gym. I did 4 spin classes last week. My ankle's healing. I've been to see the physio, and he's telling me to slow down, stop putting so much weight on it. And I said, is that because I've got too much weight, or is it actually because you don't want me to put all my body weight through it? He's like, both. You're too heavy, and you need to stop putting enough body weight through it. So we're on it, mate. When a physio and a doctor tell you to slow down, it means you're going well.
Look at you! Look at
or you've got a heart problem.
Well, possibly,
exactly.
Possibly.
Yeah, but I can't wait to see everyone again. And look at you! You're going to look so different. Have you got new clothes and stuff like that? I mean,
funnily enough, I've had to get some because the old ones are a bit baggy now.
The old Rada jeans or whatever they're called, Jardas.
Yeah, Jardas. But mate, it's amazing. Over the weekend, and I'll be very honest, I didn't watch one rugby game live over the weekend. Obviously, I've done my prep and watched the highlights and all this stuff for the podcast, because I'd just be letting the masses down if I hadn't done that. But Friday we were at the zoo, Saturday we were at the farm and took the girls swimming, and then Sunday we're in a beer garden all day. So
just all that animals and beer.
Yeah, mate, that's what it was, animals and beer. So great for the twins to be able to go swimming again and do all that stuff. Go to the zoo, see some animals. I saw a chimpanzee pull a load of shit out of his arse, but the girls were like, Daddy, what's he doing? And I'm like, oh, jeez. And they are animals,
Talking to chimpanzees and zoos, right? I was in Lanzarote, of all places, and ended up at zoo. And you know my feelings on zoos, especially when you see chimpanzees who are, they look unbelievable animals, and I'm sure they are. I don't know any personally, but I was in Lanzarote and this chimpanzee, right, talking to chimpanzees and zoos, was following me up and down, obviously sees a fellow alpha apex predator. Are they apex predators? Let's just say that they are. There's a word for chimpanzees. I don't know what they are, but whatever it is, they're regal, they're big, they're powerful like me, basically. So he's following me, he's eyeballing me up this cage, making all the noises or whatever. Next thing, he stoops down as if he's like crawling on the floor, like coming towards me, and I don't see his face. Next thing, he lifts his head up, squirts water at me. Oh no, it's pee. It's pish that he has got in his mouth off the floor and squirted in my face in Lanzarote. That was one of my experiences at a zoo, just to let everyone know. So whatever his name is, I think his name was Chimpanzee John in Lanzarote. Don't really know if he's still about. I don't know how long chimpanzees live for in zoos. But I do like animals as well. Look at me. I'm all upbeat now. Look at you, Andrew. Look what you've done to me.
There you go. Positivity, Joe. Positivity.
Yes,
so
there it is.
We had a good week in our household, and it culminated with me and the brother-in-law having a few beers yesterday, and the girls going off horse riding, and you stay in the pub and have a few more beers, and then
the babe comes out.
You're in the doghouse. You're in the doghouse then, aren't you? So back to normal, shall we say? It's good to be out there in the sunshine with a beer in a beer garden, taking the kids to things they love, and then just staying in the beer garden.
Watching your beloved Wasps.
Get hammered. Oh, God. Andy, I should be finishing your sentences. I should not be finishing your sentences. I'm sorry.
Yeah, got absolutely dominated by the Premiership champions, Exeter. I mean, half time we're in the game, and then second half, what happened? It was everything that could have gone wrong did, really. And yeah, listen, you can look at Wasps for the mistakes they made. Fekitoa chucking the intercepts, some errors from Jacob Umunga and other boys, and defensively loaded bad. But Exeter were dominant. They were back to their best. They're obviously hurting from losing to Leinster the week before. Some were shining. They're playing with back to their ball controlling best, and thoroughly deserved to dominate Wasps. And Wasps will be very disappointed with their performances. It was a game they needed to win to try and stay in the hunt, really, for top 6, let alone top 4. Their top 4 was 100% gone now, I'd say. But yeah, tip the slipper to Exeter. Back on form. They're obviously hurting from losing to Leinster last week, and we spoke about it at depth, where they made a few uncharacteristic errors, went off script against Leinster in that quarter-final, and they bounced back and absolutely pasted Wasps at the weekend. So I didn't see it, to be honest. I don't know what you're on about. I haven't seen a game. I was in the pub, so who cares?
Did you see Hoggy's try though?
Yes, I did. Yeah, spiral, and then all the Wasp boys are looking around. Someone will get. Oh no, no one will get it. Hoggy goes and gets it.
No word of a lie. I reckon him running that fast in that heat, he's probably got sunstroke right now. As we're recording this podcast, he is still recovering, without doubt.
Yeah. His lid looks good though, doesn't it? Every week,
it looks. Some things blow me away, right? And I'm like blown away by stupid things. One thing that blows me away every time I see it, no pun intended, is Hoggy's hair. I'm not necessarily in awe of it. I'm just shocked. I can't believe that it's stuck that
the recovery from
the reincarnation of a lid. If you wanted to see a recovery of hair, that's how you'd envisage it. So fair play is all you can say. Hey, tip of the slipper.
Tip the slipper to him. So yeah, they were good. They were really good. Some big performances from Exeter. Joe Simmons played exceptionally well at 10. And Wasps were just error strewn, and everything that went for Wasps last year, and I say last year, I mean last season, when they were winning these games, end up getting to the final. It's gone the other way this year, and they're losing those close games. And then defensively, we were pretty poor in the second half, and so be it.
And Bristol looked pretty comfortable as well, didn't they, at Newcastle?
They did. Newcastle got off the ball a little bit. I know they're playing Bristol's, but they started the season very well. But
started the game very well. They were 10-0 up, weren't they?
Yeah, there you go. Started the game very well. Not an easy place to go and play, but in the sunshine, it's obviously easier for teams to go up there. You look at the players at Bristol now, you wonder what their first choice backline is. Would Max Mellins even be a starting back three player? Well, he plays 15 or a bit of 10 as well. You've got to ask yourself, it's a rhetorical question, but his performance at the weekend was class. His aerial ability, broken play. And we know that we like Bristol's. We do, but they quality throughout their team, and foregone conclusion now for them in the top 2, would you say? Yeah,
they are missing a few as well. But they just, you can look at Bristol's brilliance at times, the shape they put on it out wide, but Newcastle's defence was abysmal. if we're being honest. Toby Flood at 10, probably retire, mate. Your time's up. That's horrible, Jim. Why are you saying that, Jim? Why are you saying?
No, I don't belittle people that have played in my position, apart from Tim Swinson, who never went to the World Cup 2015. But I'm not belittling him. Respect the man who's just come off his honeymoon or stag do or whatever it was to go on the World Cup. But Toby Flood, the end is nigh, I would say. Mate, he's all right though, isn't he? Still.
Yeah, he's all right. But yeah, I mean, defensively, Newcastle, the amount of tackles they fell off, it was very bizarre. But the errors they made played into Bristol's hands a little bit. Malins, as he said, was ridiculous at times. Would he get in their starting team? Charles Piatow and Randrandra at 15 and 13 potentially. When they're all fit, they've got now Langlu on one wing, Morahan on the other wing, Piatow at fullback. Malins, who ended up starting the Six Nations for England, does he get in that team? Where do you play Charles Piatow if you want to put Malins at fullback? Do you put him at 13? But you got Semi Randrandra.
Just put him at 8. Put him at number 8.
Mate, pick him at 10. But then you got Sheedy, who's playing coming off the bench for Wales. So they have got quality. And Newcastle, some of the tries you look at them and you just think they shouldn't be bouncing off that many tackles and there shouldn't be that many holes. Was there a work rate issue? But again, probably, Jim, it comes back to the fact that the sun was shining and the north, they're used to the snow and the rain and the sleet. Sun comes out and they just get ripped a new one.
And Bristol face the Chiefs this weekend again at Ashton Gate. How do you see that going? Friday night.
Oh, under the lights. Obviously won't be as hot. Hopefully Hoggy's recovered. I don't know. I think the top two teams, does it really matter? Am I bothered? Yeah, a little bit.
Well, there's more pressure on Exeter, isn't there? When you're looking at the league table and the teams that are chasing Exeter, and it sounds a weird thing to say that there's more pressure on Exeter, but Exeter are only 4 points clear of Sale and Harlequins, and Bristol are gone. They're 12 points clear of Exeter. So Bristol pretty much know, being 16 points clear of Sale and Quins, they're guaranteed a home semi-final. So the pressure on Exeter is to guarantee that home semi-final when we could see people back in stadiums and things like that for knockout rugby. So there's a Exeter champion team go down to Bristol. Bristol will want to put one over on them. Again, I think they beat them down at Sandy Park this season as well, didn't they? Earlier in the season. So all the pressure is actually on Exeter, which sounds a weird thing to say with the history that they've had over the last few years. But they're in a battle to get the home semi, whereas Bristol have pretty much secured it now, I think.
Northampton beat London Irish on Friday night. Dan Biggar didn't do his Lions chance any harm, did he?
No, he didn't. I thought Biggaroo, one of my mates, I think he's my mate, I spoke to him a few times. Let's call him my mate because he's good and he could be starting for the Lions. I thought Northampton were classic. It was a great game. Both teams obviously wanted to play, loads of tries. Slightholme was brilliant on the wing. I find it so weird because I played Jonah Loma rugby and I just remember Slightholme on the wing. That's all I ever think.
How good was he at that game?
John Slightholme was unbelievable.
The old handoff, and he threw.
That was it.
Every time.
That was it. Yeah, he was class. But his son, oh my wheels, absolutely rapido. I think you put something out there, Andrew, on Twitter. Of course you did. That's how we live our lives. Around the Northampton team being all English.
A few weeks back. Yeah, and starting 15 that was all English. Yeah.
So I mean, Northampton. Yeah, they're a good team. They're an amazing team, but they're a good English team with talent across. Obviously, Dan Biggar. I've always said it. One of my favourite 10s. Complements the Premiership really well, and obviously the weather. This is the whole thing around summer rugby, right? And the big kind of debate around it. The quality that you get from all teams, really, because everyone wants to play now, don't they? Play, big fella. But I enjoyed watching that game. London Irish, I think, very good. We've spoken about them this season. Alex Mitchell at scrum half looks quality.
How good.
Well, Austin was talking about him on BT, reckons he's like Matt Dawson and thinks that he's the next England 9, and you can kind of see it now because there's been a lot of talk about him before, hasn't there? Yeah. But then you watch him, he was class. So, mate, Northampton look pretty good. I like London Irish as well. Blair Cowan.
I'm commentating on London Irish this weekend, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, Blair Cowan, me old Uso, got 150. So big shout out to him as well. Mate, London Irish, good team to commentate on, Andrew. Who against? Where?
They're playing the Harlequins at the Brentford Stadium. So, it'll be empty, obviously. But, it's Irish. They'll probably, when you look at them now, and I'm good mates with Brad Davis, one of their coaches, he was one of my defensive coaches at Wasps. and he's running the defence at Irish now. So he'll be a bit grumpy this week. But I spoke to him early in the season, and I'm like, mate, I reckon you got a sniff. The way the games are panning out, the way your squad is, there's some of the worldies in the Irish squad. I reckon you got a chance of sneaking top 4. And he's like, mate, we're just trying to push for top 6 and try and cement ourselves there. So they're in that race, and it's a bit of a not last chance saloon to get into the top 4 for them. Ultimately, they're playing Quins, who sit in that 4th spot, but it's a massive opportunity for them to try and squeeze the pressure on pushing into the top 4. Saints are obviously right on the noses of Sale and Harlequins as well in trying to get them. We're right at the business end of the season now. So we're going to round 17. There's 6 games left of the season, so 30 points on offer. And a lot of the teams will play each other in that mix. So be really interesting to see how Irish front up. Quinn's on phenomenal form as well, although they only played Worcester, who were diabolical. So it'll be an interesting game. But Irish, yeah, I enjoy watching them play. Some of the talent they've got. Loader on the wing, Hassel Collins. My God, he is
talk of him for England as well.
Yeah, what about, lovely lid on him as well, blonde highlights, really long and floppy. So, you look at the players that Irish have got at their disposal, but it's actually some of their youngsters in Loader and Hassel Collins who have really grabbed the headlines for individual performances. But, Rob Simmons in the second row.
Called it.
Coleman, when he comes back as well.
I called them at the start of the season, did I not? Or was I horrible to them? I can't remember.
Well, we both definitely said someone from the West Country-ish was getting relegated. I said Worcester, you said Gloucester. And looks like I was right, even though there's no relegation. But yeah, I mean, Irish, they'll be thinking, let's get in the top 6, let's have European rugby next year.
I was thinking this, Andrew, as well. Just you mentioned the Australian lads. Now, we know that some players suit different leagues, don't they? Like we spoke about before, we're now seeing an influx of South African players, not just go over to France, which they have done before, but coming to the Prem and carving it up. But the Australians, generally, when they come over, they do really well, don't they?
Yeah.
And obviously with Simon and Phipps at who else is there?
Aidan Coleman, the second row as well.
Yeah. So I'll say them. Yes, Coleman, Simmons, Phipps.
Ben Meehan as well, scrum off.
Yeah, exactly. So they're doing well. James Horwell as well, when he was at Quins, he was class. So I always thought Australians were a bit, oh God, I feel horrible. A bit soft. And then I know, I don't know why. I don't know whether it's their anthem. I don't know whether because it's the colour of their jersey that they wear. But yeah, I had this perception around Australians. And I saw James Horwell put a shot, albeit illegal, on George Cruz. And he fell to his knees and he was crying.
Cruiser
Cruiser was crying on the floor.
Proper tears?
Proper tears. I was walking over and said, well, that's me training next week for you then, isn't it? Like, as we look to it. And I was right because he broke his nose. So I don't want to be too horrible because obviously it's a tough sport. But I remember James Horwell breaking George Cruz's nose. And I thought more of him for that. That's probably a reflection of me, not him.
Let's have a little bit of a break from the Premiership now because we chatted a little bit about the Lions assistant coaches last week and it's been confirmed that they are who we thought they would be. So what are your thoughts, boys? You overwhelmed? You excited?
Well, let's get it out there in the public domain. I mean, I was a 10 out of 10. I'm probably now a 7 or 8 at a push as I'm getting older. I mean, we're talking Goonies here. That's what we're talking.
We're talking
the Goonies. That's what we're saying.
Goonies. The Goonies.
The Goonies as well. Let's call them the Goonies as well as the Goonies. Not that they're all not 10 out of 10s, but collectively. But
they're not
collectively,
all paintings, are they, Jim? They're not all paintings.
Well, but then, like, look, who are we to judge? Like, I'm just going based on what I saw. It's like you've got them sat there, and they're just like visually, it weren't a 10 out of 10, but the job at hand, you could say they're an 8 or a 9 out of 10. So see what I've done? I've spun a negative into a positive, but that's just the way that my mind thinks. But
one thing I'll say about you, Jim,
didn't we? Go on.
You use that analogy, Jim. One thing I'll say about you, you say you used to be a 10 out of 10, now you're a 7 or 8. I reckon you used to be about a 4, and now you're a 7 or 8. I think you've got better with age, mate.
Well, that's because you were just looking at me on Zoom, mate. That's why. That's got nothing to do visually, or is it when we're in Miami?
Visually, mate, when I'm looking at you from your playing days, I'm thinking, who is this absolute wildebeest?
Very true.
And now I look at you with your Hawaiian shirt, and I think, geez, that shades on, a few decent tats out, a few of the shit ones hidden. I'm like, actually, he's
like a shit Harry Styles. He looks like a shit Harry Styles.
Yeah, he's a 7 now, not a 6 or a 5.
What's gotten into you boys today? You're both giving each other compliments.
What did I say? What compliment did I give him? I said he looks
Something
like
about it. Something about him losing weight earlier.
Oh, did I? Yeah, well, that's just me. It's more, I wouldn't say it's a compliment. It's more like a motivation around it. But yeah, anyway, it's, we spoke about it last week. I text Gregor, congratulated him, followed by the next question, which is usually after the congratulations. Are you coming on the podcast? He said he'll let the dust settle a little bit, then he'll come on, because we were obviously very Scottish, having had Hamish Watson, who's very Scottish, on last week. But we can ask Gregor what Scotland players he's picking, because Gat said he's not picking any England players, so they're obviously all going to be Scottish, aren't they? That are going to fill that void. Yeah,
possibly. But talking about the coaches, though, I mean, some people have said it's underwhelming. Some people have said, like Jim said, then the actual crafts of their trade that they're into, doesn't matter that they're not massive names, like Steve Tandy or Robin McBride or whatever. The impacts that they've actually had, and Robin McBride's coaching over at Leinster, Steve Tandy's done. When you speak to people that have been coached by these guys, they think they're really good coaches, and the detail that they add on. So while they're not headline grabbing names necessarily, I mean, Jenks is just doing well to keep going on tour, isn't he? He looks about 403.
What a life, though. What a life.
What a legend. He has
lived.
What
a life, though.
Yeah, he has lived. So, yeah, I mean, he has left the door open for another, hasn't he? Which will probably or possibly be Andy Farrell, I think, dependent on whether Ireland actually tour to the Pacific Islands as a country, which he's put on hold at the minute. But there is that door open there. And maybe that door's open for Eddie Jones as well. Maybe he just wants Eddie in the mix. Come on, mate.
Yeah, I don't know, Andrew. I don't want to. I don't want to be dismissive, but I can't see it.
No, I can't see it either. So yeah, while some people are like it's underwhelming, actually, when you do your research and look into the detail of what people think of these coaches and the actual impacts that they've had on the players that they have coached, it's I think it's pretty good. The pool of players is phenomenal. I mean, can you imagine sitting down and trying to pick what they're taking 36 players? Imagine sitting down and breaking down some of those positions and how it's going. Warren Gatland throwing bombs out everywhere around who he can and can't pick, and if they're 50-50 calls, I might not pick him because he plays in the Premiership. It's it's so much water to go under the bridge, but at least Scotland have got technically 2 Scots on tour already, because even though Steve Tandy is Welsh, he's coaching Scotland, isn't he?
All I know is that Rob McBride bought me a beer in Cardiff when I was down there filming the Barbarians doc, and he bought me a beer and he was asking me why everyone was taking pictures of me. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe because I've got my high heels on today. I don't know. But for that, I think that he bought me a beer thinking I was an absolute legend and that I could tell people that he bought me a beer, which is effectively what I'm doing now. So for that, he gets my nodder.
What did you make of some of Gatland's comments about selection and the Premiership?
This is the drama that I don't like around rugby. Like, some of the drama I do like, but this stuff around, I suppose every sport you get, look at football at the minute, but every sport you get these kind of things happen, don't you, about the governing bodies and Prem Rugby and, the TV stuff around that. But the release of the players, like, this is the kind of big thing about who owns the players during that time. Will the English Premiership players release the English-based players to go on tour to the Lions? I don't even think it's a debate, but it is, because we're sat here chatting about it. But talk about the bonding in the lead up to the Lions tour.
Bondage.
And how important that is. Well, speaking to John Bentley from the 97 Lions tour special last week, it sounded like they did. all on camera as well. But that's the big thing, is it? We know you bring in 4 nations together and they've got to go out there and perform within 2 weeks of being together. And part of that is the group being together, get to know each other. Who knows how it's going to be with the times that we find ourselves at the minute with the pandemic and what they can and can't do around their bubbles. But I just don't know. Well, firstly, what players? Do you know what I mean? If he's going to pick Sam Simmons, and there's talk of that, if he's playing in the final and the Lions are playing against Japan, he's probably not going to get picked if that's the case. Like, no one will know that. Only Gatland will know if he would have picked him, if he had him for 2 weeks to bring him into the squad. Do you know what I mean? And that's a huge thing to happen. So I don't know how you change it. It obviously is a bizarre year, but
Well, it all goes back to the San Francisco agreement that was collated in, I think it was 2017. And it's all to do with the release of players, and it started from 2020. And basically, Premiership Rugby have got every right to say, listen, you have to pay for the right to get the players released early, because every union, British and Irish Lions, were involved in those decisions around player release. Now, do I think Warren Gatland's not going to pick players because they're playing in a Premiership final? I don't think so. But also, you only have to look at fly half. You only have to look at fly half and his issue there, because Finn Russell sits in the same position. He's playing France. So Racing could get to the knockout stages, and probably will get to the knockout stages of the top 14. That rules him out up until after Racing get knocked out, and they've still got to get released from him. Then Racing could get to the final, which I think is around the same time as the Premiership final. Owen Farrell, as a fly half, potentially, he's playing at Saracens. He's got the big championship game, the big championship final the week before, so he won't make the 2-week camp either. You've got Dan Biggar playing the Premiership as another fly half option, who is under the same agreement as Northampton. He could get to the semi-final, potentially the final. So the only one that's available is Sexton. And Jim, you said he's not up to it anymore.
Injured. No,
oh,
he
mate,
is up to it.
So?
No,
yeah.
he is up to it. Lanny's convinced me. A few people have convinced me. He's convinced me.
Yeah.
The big thing will be around the 10 and who they'll take. Maybe they'll go with George Ford because will he be available? Leicester look right,
again, he's not available. He won't be available. Callum Sheedy on the bench for Wales. He's not going to be available because of Bristol. So
Messer.
What it is for me, it's Warren Gatland putting the pressure. These conversations are still going on with Premiership Rugby, and every time around the Lions tour, the Lions want something more than is already agreed, and it just comes down to numbers. They've got to pay for the right. And the Premiership Rugby are right to do this, I think, because people say, oh, yeah, but it's the Lions. And it always happens. There's never an issue. They always get released for the Lions. And there's always an agreement made financially for the clubs. If Premiership Rugby, and take exactly what happened with Scotland and France a few weeks back, if Premiership Rugby allow, the agreement to be torn up just for one special example, every time, you look at football, as you said, Jim, there could be a breakaway league, and then it's not worth the paper it's written on. So these agreements that are signed, sealed, and delivered and it's actually for the next, I think it's 12 years, so it's from 2020 to 2032, the agreement around player release. When
you will nearly be 60 at that point.
Probably, yeah, probably.
Can you imagine? Either or. Anyway, it's crazy when you think about time. But anyway,
so it is messy. I don't think Gatsby's comments were... I love Gats because he does feed you things that, a bit of controversy here and there, but it's the announcement of his assistant coaches, and it's been overshadowed by comments he's made around the release that he may not pick players playing in England if there's a 50-50 call or because they can't be released. So we'll see. Things will pan out as they will. And hopefully, no one will be stopped from going on a Lions tour because they're playing the Premiership final or the top 14 final, or where do you draw the line? And that's the big issue. He's not going to bite his nose off to spite his face. If he wants a player, he'll take him.
Speaking of the Lions, we have a chat now to a man who's hoping to face them this summer. Toulon and Springboks second row, Eben Etzebeth joins us. How are you, mate?
No, good, thanks, man. You?
Yeah, Eben, it's class to have you on, mate. It's been a long time coming. We've spoke about you loads on the podcast, and we've got two of the modern day enforcers just sat here, be it on Zoom, just having a blether, aren't we? Look at us. It's great to have you on.
Well, I need to butt in here, Jim, because you call yourself an enforcer, and all I ever see is the video of Eben filling you in when South Africa dominated Scotland. You've come on, given a penalty away, got Simba, and then Eben's just fucking ragdolling you around everywhere. So there's one enforcer with massive pipes, and there's Jim Hamilton. Eben, tell us about that story, because you absolutely blitzed him, didn't you?
Yeah, I knew that won't take long to come up. No, I remember pretty well. Yeah, it was. I think it was Siya Kablisi's first test, and yeah, just him coming on was obviously quite special. And then Jim tried to ruin the day for me. But I think the ref saw who was the instigator and gave the yellow card to him.
Oh, Eben, when we were texting the other night, I went to bed thinking about that scenario, and I convinced myself when I woke up that one, we won that game. Secondly, I filled you in and I won man of the match. But when I look at it, it's arguably one of the most ridiculous things I've ever done on a rugby pitch, because we did lose the game off that. But you know what? That's my legacy. So now my kids type my name in on YouTube, and that's the thing that comes up. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, that game in 2013, Sia Khaleesi's first match, we spoke about it. When I was in Cape Town with Sia, he said that you were in the stadium somewhere and you hadn't forgiven me for that because it did go viral on the old YouTube, and that you were going to come after me with your brothers. Is that true or not? Are we all good now?
No, we're good now, but it was true that time. I remember him telling me that he saw you, and I said, I think he said you guys spoke about it. But yeah, I remember, I think it was a line out and something happened on the touchline, and I think I chirped you just before it. I think you were down sitting or tying a shoelace, and I was like, get up. And then I think the next line out, something happened by the hooker and the ball went out. And as I turned around, you just came and pushed me in my face. And then I remember coming back. Luckily, there was a few guys in there. Otherwise, I probably also would have gotten a card.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I might have got hurt.
All I know is, having watched it 100 times, Jim went for the cheap shot and then absolutely shat himself. His white shorts turned brown when you turned around, Evan, and went back for him. So he saw the size of your arms, and you let him know who was boss.
Yeah, I remember just giving him a thumbs up when he got the yellow card. I was quite happy that I got nothing.
Well, either way, look at us now. It's brought us to this point, Eben, to have you on the podcast. So it is a pleasure to have you on. Just talk to us how you are. You're obviously down in France. You're injured at the minute. How's the injury?
No, all good. Broke my almost 2 weeks ago in training. Broke my finger. Quite a weird accident. But yeah, besides the finger, all good. Probably play in 3 or 4 weeks again. But like with rugby, any injury is sometimes a blessing. So the body gets a bit of a rest. There's obviously still a big year ahead. But yeah, otherwise all good in France. Just missing the family back home with COVID rules and so on. But yeah, otherwise it's good, man.
Can I ask you about the injury then? Because I didn't realise a broken finger put a big, hard, tough man like you out of the game for a bit. I mean, is it a nail? Is it an actual broken? What happened?
Yeah, so I just came off a line of 9, and it wasn't even contact, and the ball and the guy was almost like shadow rugby, and the ball and the guy in front came at the same time, and almost like tried to catch the ball with the one hand and then stop with the other, just the guy in front. And somehow my finger got caught there, and the bone actually came through where the skin and the nail is. The bone came out.
Yeah.
So I saw it and I was like, oops. And I ran to the physio room and luckily got operated the same day.
Yeah,
Jim
would have retired. Mate, Jim, you'd have retired, mate.
Wouldn't have flinched with that one. But Eben, you're doing really well in Toulon. There's the clips going around of you not only monstering lads into the stand, but also line breaks and what have you, and running around and doing your thing. Are you enjoying it there? Because I know the culture is very different. You're in the room with Marnon, who you just mentioned there as well, and another guy who's done extremely well in Toulon. But how you find it there, the culture, the big change?
Yeah, actually very good since I've gotten here. He actually just left now, so we can actually talk about some rubbish behind his back at the moment. But no, it's I mean, besides from the French guys, all very nice. Coaching staff, everyone. I mean, since I've gotten here, it's all very good. But yeah, for some reason, I've gotten quite well with the New Zealand guys, with the biggest arch rivals on the field. Remember, last season was Liam Messam, and this season is Aistuyava and Maununu joined us, and yeah, we get along really well. And I mean, it's just a good group, good place to be off the field. Also, the weather is amazing, place close to Monaco and all those nice places. So, like I said, the only thing that's probably not as great now is COVID, but that's the whole world suffering from that. But yeah, no, really enjoying it, and we build a new facilities also here by Toulon, amazing facilities, gym, recovery centrum, all those things. So yeah, no, really happy, and actually got another 3 seasons left here. So yeah, I'm here for the long run.
Jeez, that's a lot of euros, isn't it? That is a lot of euros to be earned over the next 3 years. Let's talk about the club, because obviously there has been quite a few changes. Obviously, Murad Boujalal, the old owner, he's left, and actually, with Marnon, who I know he's left now, but being a good friend of yours, he'd know the difference between when Boujalal was in charge and the new regime, and obviously Patrice Calajo the coach is in charge. How crazy is Colazo? Because we've seen some pretty crazy things from him when he came over and was actually playing in England at Gloucester. He looks like a coach that you really want to play for because he lives and breathes every minute on the sideline. He looks pretty mad, eh?
Yeah, he can. He actually off the field completely different. I think a lot like many rugby players. On the field they're just different, and off the field they real nice guys. So off the field is understands when someone has a family issue or any issue off the field. They always say, yeah, no, it's good. You can go home or you can be with a family or whatever. So off the field, real great man. But as soon as he step over the 4 lines, it's a little bit of a switch. I remember, I think we played, I'm not sure, it was in the top 40 now, and I think we stopped the bus and the bus didn't stop at the right place. We had to go around, and the whole team was already out of the bus, and the security came and they're like, no, you can't stop here. The team must get back in the bus and drive around. So normally 90% of the coaches will go, okay, no good. Patrice was like, in French, whatever he said, I don't know what he said, but he just started arguing with them and just started walking. All the players just followed him. So it was like quite cool for me. But yeah, he definitely sets the tone with his aggressiveness on game day also. Like I've seen also before I even got here, saw a couple of clips where he kicks a cooler box in the change room at halftime, which is pretty funny. But no, he's a good man, and sometimes you do that little bit of craziness in rugby.
Yeah, that's absolutely what you get in France. We spoke to Faf a couple of weeks ago, Faf de Klerk. It was great to have him on. And the obvious thing around the Lions tour and the momentum gathering in the lead up to the summer test series. Have you had much interaction with any of the guys? Obviously, been a long way from home, as it were, and the World Cup must feel a distant memory now as we lead into this Lions tour. But it's quite strange that you lads haven't been together since that World Cup final.
Yeah, obviously, you keep in contact with, probably you can't keep in contact with everyone. As you know, there's always a few guys who are a bit more closer than the other guys. But no, speaking to a lot of guys, I actually spoke to Sia and Beast last night, and Sia actually put photos up of actually that debut week that he made against Scotland of us training and just how young we look. But yeah, it does feel like eternity ago, November 2019. Haven't played a test match together again, and it would be nice to play with a few South Africans again. So yeah, definitely looking forward to, if all goes well. We never want to say to the matches, because then ex-players like John de Villiers always gives you some slack for saying, oh, you're already in the team. So yeah, hopefully if all things go well and you're in the squad, definitely looking forward to that and playing with all the guys again, seeing everyone. And yeah, it's a great bunch of rugby players to play again with. So I'm looking forward to that.
And for you, obviously, after the World Cup, it was obviously moving to Toulon and all those things. Unbelievable memories, right? That final, beating England, and then it seemed to have dispersed quite quickly. We spoke to Faf about it. You went back to South Africa and there was a parade and everything like that, but it was quickly back to domestic rugby and obviously you moving abroad. How did you find that? Because you've reached the highest of highs playing for the Springboks and winning the World Cup. Was it tough to get back into the swing of things playing top 14 rugby, or were you just on cloud 9 still?
Yeah, look, I must say I had 3 weeks to celebrate that victory, which I took full advantage of. I think most of the guys did. But yeah, and then obviously, I think it was a few days in Japan, got back, week with the people in South Africa, had a trophy tour. Me and the family and friends went to Sun City for a week, and then got back, and it was like 4 or 5 days, and I had to come to Toulon. Obviously scared to jump on the scale because it was a big 3 weeks, and don't know what's going to happen. So luckily I got my first game off the bench, and it was in the Challenge Cup. So first 2 games Challenge Cup, I think, against London Irish, and then made a top 14 debut against Clermont. So I had a bit of time to play in the Challenge Cup and just build up some confidence for the big debut in the top 14. But yeah, it was like you said, you were on this big high, and then suddenly you're back to reality, and you must perform for a new team. And obviously, going to a new team, you want to show them that you're a quality player, so you can't rest on your laurels.
No, absolutely. We'll just stick on the World Cup 2019, because it was so big and so historic off the back of what you guys did again. And we're seeing now some more content that's coming out. Said the same to Faf about Chasing the Sun, which gives us a bit of insight into the squad dynamics and Rassie Erasmus as a coach. He looks a great bloke. He looks a great guy to play for. Speaking to some of the Barbarians that he coached as well, just said he's a great guy. What are your thoughts on Rassie as a coach and a human being as well?
Yeah, he's got a way of getting people up for big matches. If it's going digging in your past and saying where you come from, or just using South Africa and where we come from as a country as a thing to get guys up, whatever it takes, he gets guys up. I can tell you that. And also the thing with him is his clarity. So we always knew. I mean, even before, if there's a game in 5 weeks, you already almost know who'll start that game. So you always have clarity for the whole team, and I mean that just makes everyone happy. So no one goes behind closed doors and complain, because he's just open with everyone. And then obviously not just him, the guys around him, Jock Nienaber, Felix, conditioning coach Alet, Matt Proudfoot, physios, everyone just had one goal, and just what they did in the job was they were just the best.
Is there something that Rassie ever said to you that's kind of stuck with you, or any advice that you remember that really got you up for a game?
Yeah, so obviously the one week he used where the guys come from, and I come from a little town in Cape Town, Goodwood, which is quite a special place to my heart. And just when he brought up that, and you think back of the memories from Goodwood, and it's actually a small little suburb. Not the easiest of suburbs, but also not the hardest. But you just think about that, and that's things like that just get you motivated. And also, before the one game, he just said, like, you can't, if you have a mistake, or if you make a mistake and you think about that mistake, that makes you selfish, because you must just forget about it and think about the team. So, I mean, just small things like that he triggered in the mind was unbelievable.
And how do you see the changes that obviously we've made? I know he's moved upstairs and perhaps away from an actual coaching place, but how do you see the changes? Will it still be a similar sort of pathway for the players, or are there going to be some big changes with the new coaching team in place with him moving upstairs?
Yeah, I don't think, don't want to talk too much of stuff I'm probably not 100% sure, but I don't think too much will change. I think Rassie will still be involved quite a bit with Jock. I mean, Jock, as always, when Rassie was also there, he talks a lot in meetings, and he was also always the main instigator, Rassie's right hand. So I don't think a lot will change. Probably on match day, I don't know if Rassie will sit in the box. Like I said, it's small detail, I don't know. But yeah, from what I think is not too much will change.
With the South African team, and I've been lucky enough to go down there, not just as a player. Goody played for Natal Sharks when he was a lot younger, looked very different back then as well. But it's a country that I absolutely love. And one thing that you feel as soon as you get there is how much rugby means obviously to the whole of the country. 1995 was obviously massive for obvious reasons. The fact that it was in South Africa. I'm sure the World Cup in 2009 was just as big. But this one felt very different. It felt very, very special. Is there any reasons why? Are they all been special? Maybe it's just the time that we're in that we can kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the reason why it felt so special is, I think where we came from, probably 2 years prior to the World Cup. I think we were quite down. I think we were at one stage, I'm not sure now, sixth or seventh in the world. Maybe wrong there, but just how we got back together and just everything started going for us. That I think the one thing that inspired that team was probably that away win in Wellington against New Zealand. I think that gave the guys the confidence to know that I mean, we can beat any team anywhere in the world if we all play to the best of our ability. So I think that, and then also I think our country was in a bad state during 2019. Lots of stuff happening back home, and just for us, group of 31 guys plus the 2 injured guys who went home, and coaching staff to just unite us, the whole country, for even if it's that 80 minutes was special. And I mean, when we got back, the bus trips, the trophy tour was unbelievable. Besides opening a beer at 8 o'clock in the morning, that was also good. But just seeing all the people and running behind the bus. I think there was one guy, he was on crutches. He could barely walk, but he was trying to keep up with the bus. So yeah, just made you see how special it is for someone to run behind the bus who could barely walk. And yeah, you could just see the difference we made in the country. So that was really special.
Yeah, phenomenal scenes. Well, let's look forward then to the Lions tour. We're all hoping that it is in South Africa. And I don't suppose you know any more than anyone else. But how much will it mean to actually get people in the stadiums? Because there are rumours that they're hoping to maybe have up to 50% of capacity in the stadiums. It will mean a huge amount to that country as well, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes around every 12 years. So if I'm lucky enough, I'll only have one opportunity, and so will a lot of the guys in the squad. So we would like a normal Lions tour, which will probably not happen, which will be 100% fans, and 80% of those fans wearing red jerseys, like it normally is. But I mean, we just want the normal experience, but unfortunately, probably won't happen. But yeah, I mean, 50%, 10%, anything will be great just to have some fans there, make them part of the game, and just get that energy again from the fans. And I think the guys who plays for the Lions also, I mean, for some of them will probably also be a once in a lifetime experience. So it will be great if things can be as normal.
Yeah, Eben, is it as big as we think it is over here? You know, a Lions tour, especially to South Africa every 12 years, off the back of you lads winning the World Cup again. It's something that we speak about over here in Britain and Ireland, and we say it's, you know, like you just said then, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. But as a South African player who plays in a number of big games in the Four Nations, Tri-Nations, you know, World Cup finals, is it as big as we're making out for you guys as well?
Yeah, for me personally, look, for me the World Cup is the pinnacle. I think that's something every rugby player wants to win. And then definitely Lions for me is second. I think although it's World Cup comes along every 4 years, I still think World Cup is the best. But Lions is so special, and yeah, like you said, for just everyone is excited and looking forward to it. So, and also the thing is that we last played in the World Cup, so being our last game, England, going into there'll probably be a warm up somewhere there has to be. But then actually our next big game being against the Lions, three test matches against them is going to be a great one.
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's talk a little bit about second rows and the Lions then, because it's a position that we think we've got a bit of strength in. Alan Jones. No, Jim's gone, mate. Jim's gone. Oh. Jim's long gone.
Would you have been scared, Eben? Genuinely, in my prime, if I was picked, would you have been worried? Yes or no?
I would have asked Toulon to keep me here.
didn't want to be released.
Thank you.
Let's look at the second rows then, because obviously Alan Jones, captain of Wales, is everyone's kind of choice that he could potentially be captain. Maro Itoje, one of the best players in that position in the world as well. Ty Byrne has played exceptionally well. James Ryan, another one. Who are the two that you think will be starting Test second rows for the Lions against hopefully you and another for the Springboks?
Yeah, I think probably like you mentioned, Eben Jones. I mean, Warren Gatland is coach. He also coached Alan when he was Gatland's captain at Wales for a long time. So I'm pretty sure he'll be the number 5, and then I think probably number 4 will be probably Itoje, with a guy like James Ryan probably on the bench. So makes it easy for us to start looking at their locks. But no, it's going to be a tough battle. I think there's obviously some warm-up games for them also, and a few of those guys would want to play themselves into the squad but for me at the moment it will probably go that way. And yeah, then for us, hopefully if all goes well, the same guys will be there again that was there at the World Cup, those 4 locks.
Got a few injuries though, don't you?
Yeah, but I think everyone will be ready. I think RG is back soon, back in training, and probably will have a game pretty soon. I know Franco Mostert never gets injured. He just keeps on going. And Luet, I think Luet will definitely be there. I think he's had a couple of injuries where he had to be back for important games, and he never disappointed to make it back. So I think he'll also be there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Eben, what do you think of Maro Itoje then? Do you believe the hype? There's a lot of hype around Maro. There's been a lot of hype for the last 2 or 3 years. He's now with Rock Nation agency. I don't know if you've heard of them, the same agency as Sia Khaleesi is with as well, which basically means they're transcending the game. That's what it's been spoken about here. But do you believe the hype with Maro? Because, look, you're one of the best locks in the world, as it is yourself, Ritalik, and Maro's up there as well. But there's a lot of hype around Maro. Do you believe in it? Do you feel that?
What hype?
A lot of hype. There's a lot of hype. What hype?
He's just put you to bed, Jim.
He did. He got me. He got me.
No. He's a good player. Obviously, watched him played against him a few times. But yeah, he's a world-class second rower, and I mean, you're not a world-class second rower if you're pretty sure going to start for the Lions. So. Good player, and someone, if you do analysis, someone you have to look at maybe an extra 30-40 minutes just because he gets around the park and he's got a big work rate. So obviously a big hype, like you said. But for me, he's a good player, good lock, and yeah, always good to play against him.
Mate, all I'm hearing there is you think he's overrated, but I won't say it. I can say it. No. It'd be an interesting battle. I mean, you two going up against each other, two big tough guys. I'm just thankful that Jim's retired, because Jim, you and Maro in a room together. I know
Scary.
Mate, I know who's coming last there, Jim. It's definitely you.
Probably would have played Maro on 6 and Jim at 4.
Eben, mate, I knew it, mate. My arms are very similar to yours, or were very similar to yours. I like what you're saying. Eben, I also wanted to chat about the number 4 jersey, the famous. They're all famous jerseys, but obviously filling that jersey the way that you have to, with Bakis Botha playing so many years and that kind of enforcer role. Is that kind of part and parcel with wearing the number 4 South Africa jersey, that's part of it, whether or not you want it to be that way? It just has to be that way because of the history and the legacy that's been left.
Yeah, I think especially when you're from South Africa, like you said, there's a big history of the number 4 jersey. You probably know Toulon played me at 6 the other day. I actually wanted to ask him if I can just keep my number 4 on my back, but I'll scrum on the flanker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you said, big history. I think Bakis probably made the jersey his own in the 10 odd years he played for South Africa, and I came in just after he basically retired. So it's like you said, it's a big thing in South Africa, and it's an honor to wear the jersey. But not just an honor, you must obviously deliver. You must be at your best every week, and bring your A game every week, and be just inspiring in the pack. Luckily, we have other great physical guys in the pack also. I think these days the number 5 locks like Louis de Jager and Franco Mosse is just as physical. So, but yeah, the number 4 is a good. He also played number 4, so you would know, Jim.
Yeah, I kind of do know. I mean, it was a little bit different back in my day. It was couldn't get away with much. Bit of power needed, but yeah, no, it's very different.
Did they say to you, like, you're wearing the number 4, this is what you've got to do, this is what's required as a Springbok number 4? You got to go out there and do X, Y, Z?
Yeah. So as Jim was talking, I was actually thinking just the way the rules have also gone in the game, which is a good thing to protect player health. So the number 4 is a bit more difficult. You must be a bit more, can I say, street smart. You can't just run into rocks anymore without looking, because the laws are so strict lately. Then you'll spend most of the time on the sideline, like Jim in that test against South Africa and Elfsborg.
My legacy.
But yeah, the rules definitely change. So you must definitely adapt. So there's no more of when you guys see these days. I mean, just where I think is actually quite good cleans. They get red cards, and so it's tough these days. You must really. Technically, you must be actually more superb these days than physically at the breakdown and sometimes at the tackle area also.
And Eben, before you go, we've cleared up most things, but there's this kind of rumor out there that you're benching or have benched 175 kgs. I mean, I've benched 100. I mean, it's not that much difference really when you think about it. But is this true or not?
Did you and Skulk jump together at Saris?
Oh, I tell you, I said about it before. These foam rollers that I live with, right? we just rolled our backs and just watched the lads. We were watching Maro. All I know is that Maro could only bench 130 when we were at Sarries. He was a young lad, but is this true or not? Can you bench press 175, or is this a myth?
I could back in the day, but now after all the shoulder injuries and that big push to my face in Alspread, I'm not so confident in the bench.
Who are some of the strongest lads in the SA team? Because I think people are intrigued because you think South Africans, big, powerful, brutes, and we all saw the picture before the World Cup that went viral. You're all shredded as well. But who are some of the lads that are just complete freaks of the kindest of kinds in the gym?
Beast was quite strong in the gym.
He'd have to be. With a name like that, you have to be strong, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's quite strong. And then I think Steven Kitsoff, he's
got the ginger power, hasn't he?
Yeah, with Beast gone, he's probably the strongest. Even Malcolm, they shift some big weights. Yeah, I think those guys. I must say, I'm quite surprised when I got to Toulon. There's some guys here that you've never heard of, young guys, and then our one prop. He's built like JC Creel. He can do about 10 muscle ups and he benches over 200. So I was just like, this guy should play for France, but he's still young. And also with our one flanker benches over 200. So yeah, it's just crazy.
That's no biggie.
Welcome to my club. Welcome to my club. One last thing I want to ask you then, because I'm looking at two international class second rows. Maybe Jim was a long time ago. You were current international legend of the game in the second row. I'm looking at both of you, and Eben, your T-shirt, your arms are bulging out everywhere. It looks like a 4-year-old's T-shirt because it looks so small. It's probably a triple XL. Jim's is definitely just a size small, but it's all baggy on the arms. How can you teach Jim Hamilton to get back into the shape that perhaps you are now?
Just get smaller T-shirts like you.
Smaller T-shirts. I mean, I've had 4 shoulder reconstructions. I've been around the block, but no. But Eben, it's been class to have you on, mate. Really appreciate that.
No, cool, man. Thanks. It was great chatting to you guys.
Thanks very much for coming on, and best of luck with the injury. Look after that finger, mate.
Thanks, man.
Top bloke.
Man. Yeah, absolute legend.
How scared was he? How intimidated was he, do you think?
How scared and how intimidated was he? What about you, mate? You're like, oh, Eben, do you remember that time? Now we are friends. Why did you not like me? Were you scared of me? Why did you not like me? And now can we be friends? We're two legends. Embarrassing, Jim.
It is. I feel inferior.
You pulled out the foam roller.
Yeah.
I did pull out. What's happened to me? I'm a shell. I'm a shell before myself. Yeah, I am a shell.
You are.
I really am.
All fart and no poo. You've talked it up for years saying you filled him in. You were the enforcer. You knocked him out and all. My God, I've never seen anyone backtrack as quickly as you did.
I genuinely went to bed when we were texting. One, thinking it was weird that we were messaging before I went to sleep, and then I had a nightmare. That we lost the game, that I got filled in, and that was the one chance Scotland had to win on Heineken Mayor's home turf of Nelspruit. Watched it back the next day, and my nightmare was actually what happened. So, class to have him on. I mean, how big are his arms? Obviously, we're not in the room with him, but how big are his arms? My goodness,
massive, mate. Massive. Oh, he's definitely got a 4-year-old's T-shirt on, though. It looked tiny. Or
smart.
Maybe he's just in unbelievable nick.
Let's swing back and have a look at the other Premiership games. Sale beat Gloucester despite having Rob Dupree sent off early, didn't they?
Well, let's talk about that red card because completely illegal. But how strong is he to be able to lift Valparva Ruskin up over his head like that? And
well, this is the point. I think Valparva Ruskin has jumped. Not to be controversial, I think he's been hit that hard and he's kind of jumped up to try and wriggle out of it, and that has just made. Rob Dupree ain't dumping anyone like that. It's a South African is here. No, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now. IMO. But I watched it, and that was, in my opinion, exactly what happened. He's put a good shot on him. What's Valparva Ruskin? 18, 19 stone. Let's just call him 25
24,
stone. Let's round
24,
it up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so just the mechanics of it. And there's obviously all this talk, isn't there, around the Rainbow Cup and what they're doing down south in the Southern Hemisphere with the red card, 20 minutes can then bring on a substitute off the back of that. And again, that was one, obviously it didn't cost Sale, who we are fans of, but obviously a fan of Gloucester as well. But it was a good game. Fair play to Gloucester. And Yeah, I thought, if we speak about Gloucester, I thought Gloucester looked good. Johnny May scored a really good try. They looked physical. Lewis Ludlow, as we know, in the back row, captain, a big fan of him as well. But Sale, were they lucky to win it? As Al Sanderson said in the post-match interview, he name-dropped me. And
I heard he name-dropped you.
Yeah, the great Jim Hamilton. Yeah.
I don't think he said the great. I don't think he said the great Jim. No. I think he said in the words of Jim Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the same thing, isn't it? If you're going to quote a man, the man needs to be great, does he not?
Yeah, that's great.
He said something about them having to go deep into the well, because that's something that I said, because I used to moan all the time. But said, I had to go really deep there just to basically get down for a scrum. So that was nice of him to name drop the great man. Speaking in the third person. But Sale, to be fair, they've got a tough underbelly now. They've got a good squad. And
that's the big thing for me, I think, when you have your 10 sent off that early to still win the game. I know you're only playing, I hate to be horrible, but you're only playing Gloucester, who are 11th in the Prem, who did perform pretty well. But that shows that this team, and again, they were hurting from losing to La Rochelle in the Champions Cup quarterfinals last weekend. So it was, you kind of think that had they lost that game, things were transpiring against them with the red card, would the knock-on effect of what they've been through over the last few weeks in Europe have kicked in? But as you said, the underbelly, it ain't so much of a belly, it's nearly a six-pack now, isn't it? Because there are some big, hard boys in there that have fought to get them right in the mix. I mean, Cobus Visa in the second row, he's about 14 foot tall, isn't he? He's you, but better, isn't he?
Well, I wouldn't use the better bit at the end. He's just me doing this thing as an apex predator. I don't know. See, it's just you've got animals in my head, or sharks. I don't know.
And they're not going to lose any size either with Manu Tuolangi signing a new contract for them either, are they? How big's that?
Well,
it's big.
It is big if we can get them on the field, because as you're seeing, they have got some steely resolve around them now. They've got some quality, and he is the Stardust. Again, the record of how many games he plays in the Premiership over the last however many years, it wasn't great at Leicester. Unfortunately, again, he's been injured for quite some time with the old Achilles, and how he comes back from it. But for me, he's an absolute world beater when he's fit. It's just how much value and how often do they see him on the field. Every time Manu comes back from an injury, everyone's like, please just let the kid play week in, week out, because he's that good and people want to watch him. So it's big for them in a sense of if they can get value, but there's always going to be a question mark because of the way he plays the game, because of the stress his body will be under, because of how powerful he is. And let's not forget that when he touches the ball, everyone from the opposition is thinking, fuck, someone's got to smash him. So three boys are trying to smash him every time.
Your man.
If you leave, it is your man. But if you leave a one-on-one, he blasts through most one-on-one tackles. So naturally, his contacts, the impact on his body, where people are hitting him, there's going to be more going into those, because sometimes he gets 2 or 3 man belting him from all different angles. So it's big for them to get another sign out of him. I'm not sure how many options there would have been, really, really lucrative options because of his injury profile. So Sale will want to see some value, because they haven't seen much yet, have they? Because he's been injured for so long.
Well, it's how they use him, because there's talk of him being back. So if he can get back for the playoff games, and you think where Sale are now on their journey and their ambition, Manu, like you said, Goody, he's not going to play 20, 30 games a year plus. But if you can get 15 games out of him, 15, 20 games out of him towards the business end of the season, there you go, mate. I think as well, if he gets back, he'll go on the Lions tour, I think.
Yeah.
Bath just sneaked past Leicester on Sunday as well, didn't they?
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed that game, Andrew. Brought back a few memories of playing against Bath. What do you call them?
Bath.
So and Leicester. That's very posh. Zach Mercer again. You don't want to just talk about the headline stuff, but I tweeted it actually. Of course I did. Jasper Wiese against Zach Mercer, 2 of the best 8s in the Prem. And ironically, it was Jasper Wiese who gave away the penalty that put Bath in the position to win the game. And listen to this. He pulled Zach Mercer by the collar and pulled him on the floor. Oh, so dirty.
Naughty.
I know, naughty boy. But I think the headline thing out of that is Bath looked very good with Zach Mercer. I can't believe they're letting him go. I know we keep jumping on the fanboy train around him. He got man of the match again, rightly so. But
he's into everything, eh?
Yeah, he just, again, without being horrible, he didn't look like he should be that powerful or that good in contact. Like in terms of what you would think a player should look like to be unbelievable in contact and to avoid tackles. Like he's rangy.
Jim, it's not all about the body look. Do you remember running up those hills in Newtown Linford?
And literally, your nipples are flapping literally round the sides, up and down. I spoke to Deeks about that, actually. He's friends with me again now because I didn't retract my comments on Leicester, but because they're playing quite well. And I said that I watched this game and gave him a bit of feedback. Not that he's listened to my feedback. He was chatting to me again. He said, "Oh, how's Goody?" I said, "Good." And he can't get over still that hill session in Leicester in pre-season. Andrew's come in, no word of a lie, 3 stone overweight. So Cockers has made all the backs run with their shirts off up the hill. Now Goody's running next to Tom Van Dal, who is basically a black version of Jim Hamilton, absolutely shredded, right? 6-pack bulging out everywhere, running next to Goody, and they're running up there. And to be fair to Tom Van Dal, the first one he won, there was about 15 or 20 of them. Goody's up there, albeit the nipples, the others are down by the floor. The skullet is dripping wet. Dripping wet. He's got his gloves on. He's wearing his red cycling shorts. He's got a camel toe. And he is leading the charge. Anyway, we segue. But they were the days, Andrew, where the Leicester Bath games were good. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think, again, I tweeted it. Leicester are back. They've got a little bit of about them.
Thanks, Gertie. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Producer Tim. And thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and head over to Spotify. And we'll see you there.
See you there. Rugby Pod.
Spot it, pod.